Saturday, the 7th of February, 2026. And I was not going to do a video today, but there's just been so much going on yesterday and today that I just have to get on. And so bear with me. Yesterday was quite cold and very windy here. And anyways, I did go out to the local gas station just because I wanted to fill up. Excuse me, I brought my dogs with me after like a really nice long walk. Well, it's a hike. And ended up, I always carry toe straps and a collapsible shovel. There's so much in my Jeep. And anyways, and so this guy was stuck on a dirt road. Anyways, covered in snow, and it was snowing. And he was a city boy. I'm mostly joking when I say that because again, I was half born and raised in the city and the country, so I can make fun of both groups without being considered discriminatory because anyways, lived experience. And but anyways, this guy he was obviously a delivery driver, and they swap vehicles like very regularly, so you don't get to know the vehicle that you're operating, which I don't understand why they do that, but anyway. And it's mostly dirt trails, dirt roads. They're still like well laid out and wide, etc. But they're not paved, they're not concrete. And so anyway, he did slip in the ditch, and luckily I was passing through and ended up hooking him up and pulling him out, and he was extremely grateful. And I don't know, I'm talking about that story, but it's just I recommend people to have like emergency equipment in their vehicles at all times because you never know what's going to happen, especially if you're living in Canada, especially in the winter. I always carry water. I carry a first aid kit. I carry a friggin' fire extinguisher, tourniquets, first aid kits, collapsible shovels. I have a bug out bag. You friggin' name it, it's in my Jeep, and it's helped me a lot on my travels, even when I didn't think I needed it. I even have like an air compressor thing that you can like connect to your cigarette lighter, and I have multiple times had to like inflate my tires or other people's tires. I have a battery pack that I have in my vehicle as well. So I've boosted people. I've boosted myself. You name it. And because you don't want to get stuck, especially in winter conditions in Canada. And the guy was like, he's like, I don't even know who to call. And I'm like, well, the closest tow truck is like not close. So I'll try to get you out. And luckily it worked. But anyway, that's just but so the point to that was he didn't have gloves. He didn't have a hat. He didn't have a friggin' winter jacket. And I understand that you're in a vehicle like for like most of your work and it's long hours and stuff like that. But like you need to have a friggin' what are you thinking? Like, respectfully speaking, like no gloves, no hat, no jacket, no equipment to help if you need to get towed. And anyway, an adventure. And then today, looking at the news, looking at so many different independent journalists, and also people sharing information with me, part of my contact list. It's been mind blowing just how much information is getting out more publicly that has been censored now for my goodness for literally years, and people getting called out finally. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So I will show this post. This is I'm going to cover my Instagram and then my X, and then I'm going to get into a really interesting video. But so Minnesota Rep Kristen Robbins buried Tim Walz at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on Wednesday. So this was just a couple days ago, or a few days ago.
2020, Representative Ilhan Omar authored a bill called the Meals Act, which eventually was incorporated into a larger COVID package. This law enabled states to waive the normal eligibility requirements for participating in the National School Lunch Program, eliminating income requirements, site inspections, and expanded distribution methods. Minnesota took full advantage of these waivers and enabled site sponsors like Feeding Our Future, Partners in Quality Care, and Gargar Family Services to bill for hundreds of millions of fake meals for fake children. Just one of these groups, Feeding Our Future, became the largest COVID fraud in state and national history, bilking taxpayers of at least $250 million. The Feeding Our Future prosecutions then revealed that as many as half of those defendants were also getting state money in other Medicaid-funded programs. Yet despite reports on this back in 2023, more than 3 years ago, Tim Walz and his agencies didn't stop those defendants from getting additional state money in other Medicaid programs. Worse yet, Minnesota taxpayers have allegedly found their ways into the hands of terrorist organizations like Al-Shabaab, both directly and indirectly. The money is walking out the door at the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. Back in 2017, the estimate was about $100 million in cash was going out annually from our airport. According to TSA, in 2024, there were $340 million in cash outbound.
Amazing.
And in 2025, it was $350 million. This is astonishing, not only because of the amount, but because of it is so out of proportion to other airports. The cash out of Minneapolis is 99% higher than cash going out of Dallas, Atlanta, and JFK in New York. It's 90% higher than what's going out of Seattle. Other states should learn from our failures. There are some basic common sense principles to stop the fraud. First, culture matters. Fraud flourishes when leaders ignore it and criminals see they can get away with it. Tim Walz has not held anyone responsible. In March of 2020, Representative Ilhan Omar authored a bill called the Meals Act, which eventually was incorporated into a larger COVID package. This law enabled states to waive the normal eligibility requirements for participating in the National School Lunch Program, eliminating income requirements, site inspections, and expanded distribution methods. Minnesota took full advantage of these waivers and enabled site sponsors like Feeding Our Future, Partners in Quality Care, and Gargar Family Services to bill for hundreds of millions of fake meals for fake children. Just one of these groups, Feeding Our Future, became the largest COVID fraud in state and national history, bilking taxpayers of at least $250 million. The Feeding Our Future prosecutions then revealed that as many as
All right, this was another post. My comment was, Carney wants to get rich off the backs of Canadians, and he's admitted it. He was Chrystia Freeland. He was her puppet master at our financial decline since at least 2020, and actually even when he was the governor of the Bank of Canada, he bailed out the banks, he bailed out insurance companies. CMHC, look into that, look into Brookfield. Canadians, we bore the costs of what happened during the what they call the depression periods, the decline economically that happened internationally. Canada was not impacted, and Carney was the governor of the Bank of Canada, and he has admitted, and this is a fact, Harper is the one that got Canada out of that mess, and he hired a full up economics team in order to assist with that. And again, Canadians are still paying for that because the bailouts and all that stuff, I'll reiterate, happened for Carney's friends, and somehow against the Prime Minister of Canada now. So let's see what this is. So in total, the federal government has now accumulated $1.27 trillion in debt for Canada. That's insane. Almost half of which has been added over the last 5 years. Okay, so Carney, and I've done risk assessments. I've done videos on this for so many friggin' years. He was the shadow or the ghost, whatever you want to call it, financial advisor to Chrystia Freeland, and he is the godfather to her son. And again, they've been family friends for years, and since 2020, the printing of the money, the CERB, the scandals with the corporate, all of that stuff again was under him. And because he wasn't technically part of the government, it didn't, I guess, count. Ridiculous. There's so much more I can talk about regarding him. A lot of people are calling out Champagne, and rightfully so. And I actually did a LinkedIn post on him today because I guess I just don't have a life. And I'm going to share that. I'm just pulling it up now. Because this guy is such an arrogant clown, and people keep on saying that this is a new government. It's not a new government. They've had the same, almost the same cabinet picks now for like over a decade, and it's exhausting how incompetent these people are, and they've never been held accountable for the gross mismanagement again of the country. And so I'm going on all these tangents. Again, I did have a little bit of whiskey today, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna stop sharing this. All right. So champagne. Francois Philippe Champagne, because again, there's a lot of people in Canada now. Jasmine, Lane, Moose on the Loose, Mario. So many people are talking about him, and I want to reiterate, he's not new. This guy's a clown. Anyway, Francois Philippe Champagne's ability to cling to power since 2015 is the perfect symbol of a liberal cabinet where failure is the only qualification for promotion. He is a central figure in a circle of untouchables, alongside Bill Blair, Chrystia Freeland, Melanie Joly, Patty Hajdu, and Stephen Guilbeault, to name only a few, who have collectively dismantled Canada's economy and security without ever facing consequences. While other ministers were shuffled out, Champagne and his core group have survived every ethical scandal and policy disaster. And I should include Anita Anand in there as well, and others. But anyways, cementing a legacy of corruption and incompetence unrivaled by any previous Canadian government. And that is a fact. The Quebec medical scandal, Medicago vaccine disaster, and people need to look more into that and Champagne's involvement in that. The charge burning millions on a vaccine the world wouldn't touch. The scandal under Champagne's watch as innovative minister, the government invested $173 million plus a $150 million non-refundable advance purchase agreement into Medicago, a Quebec City-based company, to develop a homegrown COVID-19 vaccine. And I wasn't even against that because again, it was based on nicotine, and I do know that that actually did prevent people from contracting COVID largely because of the receptors being blocked, etc. But again, it goes on from there because that would have never made it for approval with the World Health Organization. So all of these, over $300 million completely wasted under Champagne's quote unquote leadership years ago. The incompetence. The World Health Organization, WHO, has strict rules against dealing with tobacco companies. Medicago was partially owned by Philip Morris International, which is big tobacco. And again, the World Health Organization, I've been saying this for years, they're corrupt, they're grifters. Look at who finances them, look who controls them, etc. And they even just like removing taking out the aspirating of needles into inoculations for COVID and stuff like that, the complete incompetence. And so of course, because they wanted their vaccines with their companies that they were invested in to make all the money, they were never going to approve any other vaccines, even if they would have likely been more effective, which I think would have been the case in Quebec, because I trust Quebec more than I trust China, obviously. Anyway, even though I do think that anyway, there's people like Legault and Blanchette who I think are criminals as well and grifters, and they did not do well for Quebec at all. And I was born and raised in Quebec, so it's a complete disappointment. But anyways, I digress. But Champagne has not been held accountable for that at all. Like over $300 million, which could have been invested in Canada. Record-breaking food shortages, record-breaking bills, grocery bills, you name it, mortgages doubling for people, defaulting on their mortgages more and more. The Green Slush Fund, corruption, SDIC, the charge presiding over massive insider self-dealing. The scandal, the Auditor General found 90 cases of conflict of interest within the Sustainable Development Technology Canada, SDTC Fund, which reports to who? Champagne's ministry. The failure, board members were effectively voting to give millions of taxpayers' dollars to companies that had financial ties. They had financial ties to. Instead of fixing it immediately, Champagne's department was accused of dragging its feet until the Auditor General's scathing report forced them to shut the fund down. The cost, over $150 million in taxpayer money, was flagged as mismanaged, and again, it was more than that as well, double that, more than double that. The productivity collapse, making Canadians poorer. The charge, presiding over an economy in steep decline. The reality, under his 40-year tenure as the minister responsible for economic growth, Canada's standard of living has plummeted. The stat, Canada's business productivity growth has been essentially 0% since 2019. I'm going to reiterate, Canada's business productivity growth has been essentially 0% since 2019. The failure, critics argue his strategy of corporate welfare, giving billions to foreign giants like Volkswagen, while ignoring small businesses, has created a zombie economy where Canadians work harder but get poorer every year compared to the US. And I further to that. Okay, more, because again with posts you have to limit it. Anyways, the fake fight on affordability, the charge all talk no action on the cost of living, grocery theater. He famously summoned grocery CEOs to Ottawa for a stern talking to. Prices did not drop, and the grocery code of conduct stalled for months. Telecom monopoly. He personally approved the Rogers-Shaw merger, removing a major competitor from the market. Critics say this decision entrenched the monopoly that keeps Canadian cell phone internet bills among the highest in the world. The consultant class, ArriveCan and McKinsey, and don't even get me friggin' started on these companies. I've talked about them for literally years. Brutal. Millions and millions of dollars. And this is Canadian taxpayers' dollars, by the way. The charge hollowed out government services. The scandal, while Champagne has been a senior minister, the government spending on outside consultants like McKinsey exploded. The consequence, taxpayers paid double, once for the civil service and again for high-priced consultants, while basic services like passports and immigration processing collapsed. The ArriveCan app, which ballooned to 54 million, and actually more than that, is the symbol of this wasteful incompetence. And so the summary, adding the Medicago, because I told, this is like AI help me with this, but I'm like, no, you have to add this in because no one's talking about this when they're talking about Champagne, and I don't know why. So adding the Medicago scandal points, a complete picture of his tenure, wasted 300 million plus on a vaccine the WHO rejected, and then I said here, WHO was also corrupt, lost 150 million plus in a green slush fund due to corruption, spent billions on foreign battery plants while Canadian productivity died, approved the merger that kept your phone bill high, which is again the least of his failures. Yeah, and people are saying like, where's the jail time? Yeah, he should be in jail, but again, this guy's probably gonna get freaking promoted. And the arrogance, this guy is so incompetent. But again, because these cabinet ministers that are selected, they're all collectively incompetent and moronic. And again, I get it's just I'm exhausted because I've been saying this for literally years, and things are getting progressively worse, and these people are getting even more arrogant and egotistical, and I just don't understand. I don't understand. But anyway, and so I put that out there, and LinkedIn is still like really leftist, to be honest with you, and obviously the owner of LinkedIn on the friggin' Epstein friggin' list and other lists as well. So I don't. It doesn't shock me. It's just frustrating. But anyways, this is why we're in the middle of a propaganda war.
Yo, I really wanted y'all to check this out.
Now listen, I'm about to waterboard you with this. If you do not believe you're in the middle of a propaganda war, I love you, and you can be as mad at me as you want. You're wrong. Okay? So listen, I'm going to rapid fire these. Here we go. Right here, number one. No, this is not a picture of an 8-year-old girl who died in ICE custody under the Trump administration's heartless dictatorship. It happened in 2023, as reported by the New York Times under the Biden administration. But now it's getting millions of views and being labeled as happening now. Number two, no, this is not a photo of a 5-year-old put in a cage because of the current administration calls people illegal. Nope. Snopes reports after millions of views, it was discovered that was a photo taken at a protest staged in front of Dallas City Hall. The parents brought the kid to the protest. He was in the cage for about 30 seconds, and he cried because he couldn't figure out how to get out. Number three, no, this is not a video of ICE agents, quote unquote, drive-by macing people for no reason. That went mega viral. I watched the entire video myself. They were throwing things at law enforcement vehicles, and the guy maced the guy that was throwing things at law enforcement vehicles. Number four, no, this is not a picture of a woman whose hand was shot off by ICE agents firing rounds at mourners, as was claimed, and it got millions of views. Nope, she was rioting and obstructing law enforcement, and as you can see right here, she picked up a flashbang before it detonated and injured her own hand, blew part of it off. Next one, no, this is not a picture of a 5-year-old boy arrested by ICE. As reported, the boy's father abandoned him while he was fleeing arrest. That is a picture of ICE agents following protocol and not leaving a 5-year-old alone in freezing weather out on the street. Next one. No, this is not a picture of a baby that was tear gassed by ICE while his parents were on their way to a basketball game. Go to that next picture. You can literally see in video that was uncovered later. His parents lied. They're on video at a violent protest, and they left their baby alone in a car for 45 minutes at a riot that they helped cause, and they forced tear gas to be deployed. Next one. This is not a picture of an innocent restaurant worker being arrested by heartless ICE agents. As you can see right here, it is a picture of an illegal child rapist who fled into a restaurant to avoid arrest and seems to have a knife in his hand if you look closely. Next one. This is not a picture of ICE ripping a disabled woman from her car while she was screaming that she was trying to get to the doctor, as was claimed and seen by millions of people. I watched the entire video. She was intentionally obstructing ICE officers by blocking a road. She was asked by 4 different ICE officers to move. She did not comply, and so they were forced to remove her from her vehicle.
Yo, I really wanted y'all to check this out.
Now listen, I'm about to waterboard you with this. If you do not believe
So this was a post. So new mob of angry, extremely emotional white liberal women berate Co-Power Yoga staffers for being complicit in ICE raids.
Give us answers. Let's go. Say them out loud for the camera for all my viewers. Let's hear it. Why are you being silent? Let's hear it, Delaney, loud and proud, baby. You want to say it? Let's fucking say it.
I will say I do appreciate the comment. It's on Rumble, but it's disregarding the flashbangs being utilized. I'm trying not to have a bias when I talk about this stuff, but I'm going to reiterate my experiences. I was 15 years as an infantry officer, got out when I was blackpilled. I did it to myself, and then I incorporated, and then I started doing work with higher levels of government. I've worked with literally like the special forces still, other levels of military, law enforcement, peace officers, wildlife preservation officers, Global Affairs Canada, you name it, executive protection, advanced firearms instruction. I've done so again. I'll reiterate executive protection, and so I've done that for the governor and the SDG, for the Bank of Canada. I've done it for the Prime Minister, even though I didn't like him. I still don't believe. I still believe that people again need to be protected, and so I have a little bit more of an experience. And then I also went to the Freedom Convoy protests. So I can come at this from so many different angles. So even when I was in Afghanistan, like there was an IED on the main highway that we were using, and we were literally going through the traffic circle in Kandahar city, friggin' really busy area, and we had no choice because we had to stop there because we had to turn around. There was no other way to get out of the area other than like through the traffic circle to go in another direction. And so we had to dismount, etc., and do crowd control, and it got fucking crazy. But so anyways, I can give a little bit more of a perspective on this, and I will say that I've seen this for myself. There are people now that are paid protesters and agitators and rioters and people that are completely mentally deranged, respectfully speaking, that are now being involved in these protests. And these are not protests anymore. They're violent, they're aggressive, they scream, they yell, they have weapons. They are throwing things at these officers when they're trying to do their jobs to get rapists and murderers respectfully off the streets. And they're not getting assistance from local law enforcement like they used to get, depending on which city or what area you're from. And it's a very fluid, dynamic situation. They are not trained specifically for crowd control. They're not getting assistance like they need to. And again, what people are claiming are protesters. They're not protesters. These people are agitators. They're instigators. They're violent. They're aggressive. They're rioters. They're it's not peaceful. The Freedom Convoy was absolutely peaceful, with the exception of, again, the leftist radicals, morons that came to the convoy downtown Ottawa and tried to again make it violent, and just like the Fed's erection and stuff like that. Again, I'm rambling on. And but I'll say, like, what do you do when you have people that are conducting blockades, when they're literally using their vehicles, not just against ICE. Like you're seeing with with Renee Good, like using the vehicle, all of that. I've already done videos on that. But there are so many other vehicles where they're ramming their friggin' vehicles into ICE vehicles. No one is seeing just like the full scope of how crazy it has gotten. And again, this needs to be friggin' stopped. And I don't know what the answer is. And I definitely I want this to be peaceful. I like no one wants lives to be lost for a psyops. And I don't understand why these people are trying to protect rapists and murderers or and people that are criminals. Like I don't understand. And are the tactics sometimes being used, being considered to be an excessive use of force? They will all be investigated. So if there is excessive use of force, they do have to fill out reports, all of this stuff, and it is investigated by people that are law enforcement. And I will reiterate, I was a use of force instructor. I did all the training for the LCBO guards in the entire province of Ontario. And so whenever there was any reports of excessive use of force, I was the one that was investigating it as a third party assessor in order to see if it was deemed excessive use of force or not. There was times where it was, and there was times where it absolutely was not. And so unless you're on the ground or have experience on either side, like I don't know, it's complicated. And this shit pisses me off. Oh my god! And so I just want to get to this. I hope I explained that properly, but probably not, because again I had some whiskey tonight. But anyway, so about a dozen women holding their yoga mats berated staffers for being silent. Give us answers. Let's go. Let's hear it. Why are you being silent? One lunatic said, let's hear it, Delaney. Loud and proud, baby. You want it, say it. So anyways, these people are doxing people at their place of work. They probably get paid like not a lot of money, and they have to deal with these fucking assholes. Just listen to this.
Why?
And again, these people are invading these people's place of work.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. It's an alm and a well. You should have well-rehearsed corporate action and words ready to go. Our community. I sent out $10,000 for people for rent yesterday that people gave on to my Venmo that I'm going to pay taxes on. Delaney, let's hear a goddamn answer.
The silence is deafening. So I think I'm just taking a pause.
No, don't take a pause. Come on, you came here to silence teachers to make sure everything was good. I've never seen your fucking face in 10 years of practicing and paying my money at the studio. Don't take a pause. Be loud with core power corporate answers. Let's fucking go. What do you got to say?
Okay, I was just sharing that.
Louder, Delaney, for us in the back. Let's go. What is it? Why? Why are you having one of our best teachers quit? Because you can't stand behind her. Answer that. Person with the glasses, do you have a good answer? Delaney can't seem to cough it out.
Well, I mean, we're being berated right now, and so
You're not being berated. You're being asked hard questions that you should have done been answered. This is not
They're
berated.
being berated by no.
Trust me. Berating is what our neighbors are living through.
Yeah, I stand corrected. You are absolutely correct.
That's right. I know I am.
I apologize.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
What's the? Why is your company?
Operations of the studio today to hear you and to listen, right? We want to hear you and listen. And we want to.
They're being so much more respectful. Again, this is why another reason why I had to leave Stittsville, because of friggin' people like that.
Let's talk. You know, I really personally care about all of you and what you have to say. So if you want to go sit down and talk, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
You gonna put the ice up sign back on the front
I'll
door?
repeat that.
We don't want to chat. We want action. Like we chat all fucking day long in this state. Are you gonna let them put the ice out sign on the back on the front door?
Is that the ask? Yes.
Yeah, and we want you to take us to.
The biggest ask here, and please let me know if you guys feel differently. The biggest ask here is that Core Power is a major corporation. They're all over this country. The fact that they are staying silent about what is happening in Minneapolis, not only staying silent, but trying to silence us and speaking out. And by
That's
us,
right.
I mean the people who are working for Power.
It's a yoga studio. Just gonna reiterate that. And so here are some of the comments. Why are you remaining silent? Because we're a yoga studio. Laugh out loud. I couldn't imagine working at a yoga studio and actually being confronted about immigration enforcement. Oh my god, these women are in fact berating them, and they should all be kicked out and never allowed to return. This was painful to watch. Your stance doesn't excuse your tone. I don't care what the issue is. You speak to people. Sorry, you don't speak to people like that. Agreed. Cancel all their memberships. A yoga studio isn't the place to air your grievances about politics. And what if the stance you're taking is wrong? Leave your feels at home and go to yoga to practice your OM. Anyways, there's more.
For power, your guys' teachers, your guys' people who are presenting you, the fact that that is being silenced, the fact that you guys are staying silent,
Like, how is that even helping?
that is complicit. That is not okay. People are being murdered and abducted and attacked here, and it is
Yeah, and again, I already showed you that's fake news. I can't even handle it anymore. And this just shows you why.
That I think my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I think they have bad ideas. But I think within far left ideology, they think that conservatives are bad people. And that's a fundamentally different aspect of where we're arguing from. That I've never thought that somebody that I fully disagree with deserves to be attacked, deserves to be shot, deserves to be anything. I don't know if I can say the same thing on the other side. I've had people tell me as a Polynesian individual that conservatives, I'm wrong, I'm all of this, and I will learn one day. Well, what do they mean by that? And we've got to get away from that disagreement through our ideologies is part of our system, and it is okay to talk about them. But when they try to use fear, that is a form of terrorism. That I think my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I think they have.
Ron Paul.
What if someday it dawns on us that losing over 5,000 American military personnel in the Middle East since 9/11 is not a fair trade-off for the loss of nearly 3,000 American citizens, no matter how many Iraqi, Pakistani, and Afghan people are killed or displaced? What if we finally decide that torture, even if called enhanced interrogation technique, is self-destructive and produces no useful information, and that contracting it out to a third world nation is just as evil?
The fact is, I never asked for deferment. I was married with a child. It was never a question.
One quick follow-up. When I was drafted, I was married and had 2 kids, and I went.
Most Americans, the majority of Americans, still believe that Saddam Hussein had something to do with 9/11. And I imagine most Americans believe the Taliban had something to do with 9/11, and it's not true. We need to change our foreign policy and come back to our senses and defend this country and not pretend to be the policeman of the world.
I have a personal belief that you never have to give up liberty for security. You can still provide security without sacrificing our Bill of Rights.
What if someday it dawns on us that losing...
This is funny.
I told them. I told you.
This is regarding Eyes Wide Shut.
Those people.
Did everybody see the...
Okay, so this is he's Canadian. He's retired law enforcement officer, and he's been around since the COVID era, exposing corruption from within.
Did everybody see the breaking news on Thursday of the officers involved in organized crime arranging for hits of other law enforcement officers and things of that nature out of Toronto Police, and now it's spreading across other jurisdictions? If you haven't looked it up, I saw it, and the first thing that came to my mind is this. This falls at the feet of the leadership of police organizations, because you have not been leading. If you follow what the other officers on the road are saying right now and have been saying for quite some time, I do, because I actually speak with them, while you're too busy rubbing shoulders with politicians because you're more worried about your next career move.
Yep. And I even said that on my post. He's talking about people like Bill Blair, who was the chief of police in Toronto. I've talked about him a million friggin' times. Like, he's a politician and a corrupted one. And anyway. And that's exactly who he's talking about. And what I was going to say was there's people within the RCMP, within multiple different like law enforcement branches all over Canada, that do reach out to me regularly, and they call out people like Bill Blair. That's why I started looking into Bill Blair to begin with, was because people from within were like giving me information about him. Brenda Lucky was the same thing. I wasn't tracking her until people from within were complaining and then sharing information with me. Like I will never say their names, but even people that are again are part of the ERT, emergency response teams within Canada, that are just so disappointed in the leadership. It's disgusting.
Officers have lost morale. These officers do not think they're being led by somebody that actually gives a crap about the community and them. They think that you guys are more politicians than police. And that's a fact. That's what they think. And I think it too. So when you have these guys and gals going out and engaging in criminal, activity like they have, which was recently discovered, that only further drives the morale down. And this is what needs to be done to fix it, in my view. Stop looking at your role as a political position. Get back on parades with the officers before they start their shift and say, guess what, guys and gals, I'm going out on the road with you. I'm going to be walking the beat with you. And we're going to stop focusing on ticket writing as the main reason to promote somebody, because they incentivize it through a system called the Matrix, by the way, in case you don't know. The more tickets you write, the better you look. Yes, there's no quota, but there's a matrix, and they compare you to other officers. And if you've written more than the other, then you're going to get a better opportunity of promotion. It's all stats driven, and it's nonsensical because it does not actually do anything to better community safety. We have a major crime problem here in Canada, and the number one focus should be on officers getting out in the streets, walking the beat, talking to community members, going out and engaging to make sure crime is driven down, rather than sitting in parking lots waiting for a call because they're scared of getting punitively punished should they do the wrong thing, because that's what our courts and our government is more concerned about, rather than keeping child predators in prison because we see them released nonstop. Talk about an absolute gut kick to the morale of the officers that are out there serving and protecting. And there are amazing law enforcement officers out there.
And I'm gonna stress that point too, because I know personally incredible cops that are still serving, and yeah, they do so much. They do so much, and they've sacrificed so much for literally decades for Canadians. And yeah, and if I didn't know people like that and work with people like that, even when I was in the military, but especially since I got out, then I would be so jaded, because unfortunately, being in Ottawa and the experiences I've had in the last few years dealing with dirty cops in Ottawa, and then hearing about the other dirty cops all over freaking Canada, has been so demoralizing. But I'll reiterate, if I didn't already know incredible human beings, like freaking phenomenal, incredible human beings that were part of the law enforcement, then I can understand why people again are so distrustful. Trust me. But yeah, I think he got out just before COVID, and then again he's been exposing a lot of stuff since.
Yeah, there's bad apples. Unfortunately, what's happened with policing is it is actually attracted, because of the way it's run today, bad actors that look at it as an opportunity to abuse their positions, rather than going out as a calling to serve and protect the good people from the bad people. So chiefs, reach out to your judges, reach out to your head crowns. Ask them why it is that they're more concerned with putting people in prison for disagreeing with their government, or officers who make a mistake in good faith, than they are going after people that prey on children. Because guess what? We've seen lists come out, and we know there's a lot of those guys out there. And gals, and they need to be held with their feet to the fire. And in my opinion, the punishment is never severe enough, no matter what it is. But let's start with locking them up. And then on top of that, like I said, get out in the streets with your officers and let them know that you're in it with them. Show leadership. Stop being a politician, because the community in Canada needs that more than ever.
So well.
Did everybody?
Oh, so well said.
Did everybody see the break?
Some more issues in Canada. Or that's some from Canada. So ICE officers in Detroit arrested Sumit Gunasekera, a criminal illegal alien sex offender from Sri Lanka, working as a college professor. Gunasekera was convicted in Brampton, Ontario, Canada, in 1998 for sexual touching and sexual interference with a minor. Now remains in ICE. This is for Canadians. Okay, so since midnight, just in Ottawa, by the way, we've responded to 3 carbon monoxide calls in homes due to high winds blowing snow and blocking exterior vents. One home recorded carbon monoxide reading of over 200 parts per million. Please check your vents and clear snow if needed. So it's just showing you a picture of like where snow can accumulate. And if it's blocking vents, please get outside your house and unblock those vents. So this is one of the friggin' girls, the Karens, that were at that yoga studio. And this is her response because she was getting trolled after that.
Hi,
My name's Heather. I'm the person who made the video and was doing a large amount of the talking here at Core Power Yoga Northeast on Sunday morning. So a lot of people have been asking me for the background, and I don't have time to type it all out, so I thought I would just make a video and explain it to the best of my memory. One night last week, a couple of friends let me know that Core Power Yoga had been silencing some of the instructors who wanted to talk about ICE and the current violence that is happening here in Minneapolis against our community. And also that corporate had asked the manager of the Northeast studio to take down a Keep Out ICE sign. So I just went to class. On Sunday morning, I went to class, and this person, Delaney, was there to meet me at the front door, opened the front door for me, and said,
first of all, she wasn't going to class. She was going to be a troll.
That she was there to hear any concerns that we had as a community. And I told her then, calmly, kindly, that what our concern was, and that I wanted her to back up instructors, and that I wanted Core Power to understand that in Minneapolis, we were really going through it, and we would like our yoga studio to support us in this moment. She completely ignored me. She didn't offer even one thing, not a like, we will circle back, not anything. Just said, have a great class. So then we have a class, and during that class, our instructor tells us this will be her last class at Core Power Yoga. Now, you should know the flowers that are on the counter right there. Those are for me. I had made those for my favorite instructor and brought them there that morning because I knew that she'd been having a rough week with all of the situation. I just wanted to encourage her.
See how she pretends that she's some kind of a victim and such a nice woman and so thoughtful and so caring. And I was just there to give bullshit, lady. You were there to be an asshole. And then we already showed the video.
Also, every single class that I take at Core Power for years have taken the time to clean up the weights and to clean up things that anybody leaves messy, because I know that the set people don't make a lot of money. And I always want to be able to support people who have to clean up. One of the people in the class said to me, you know what, we shouldn't put our weights away today. We should let the corporate cleaning it up since they're here to see how everything is. And that's exactly what we did. So rather than putting all the weights back and organizing like I normally would, we just left them on the floor. And I walked out into the lobby to an already flowing conversation. And frankly,
we just left on the floor every friggin' dumbbell. This is what I mean. Like, I get frustrated and I shouldn't. Every friggin' dumbbell. And if there's like 10 people in the class, do you think we're retarded? This is what I mean. They think that people actually, I just can't.
The people that were around and asking questions weren't getting any answers. And so that is when I pulled out my phone and said, like, let's actually have the conversation and let's put what you're not saying and what you will say on record. I cursed a couple times. I was mad. I was frustrated. Honestly, living in Minneapolis the last few weeks, trying to be involved in mutual aid, just the strain of our city, it's not been easy. And sort of like the class and all of the things. Yeah, I was mad. And I said some things. I tried to call Core Power Yoga, I think 3 times over the next 48 hours. I wanted to let them know my opinion. I thought that they would be interested in what I had to say. That's what they said corporate was there for. I was never able to get a response. I was never able to get an email or a phone number of anyone in management. Nobody was able to answer any questions for me. And then I got this email, letting me know that I've been permanently revoked and not allowed to practice at Core Power Yoga anymore. And I just want to say, like, you know, I don't agree with their stance that they only want to keep a safe space for the predominantly white and maybe wealthier customers. I want our city and everyone that is in it and every single business that makes money in it to stand with our neighbors. It does matter to me. And I'm not just saying this from like one place. I'm saying this because like I care about our neighbors and their experience.
America voted for that, just to be clear.
And also, just to be clear, almost every business, I don't know of a business in Minneapolis that does not have an ICE out sign right now, because this is one of the strategies that we are using to keep our neighbors safe. This is not a big ask for Core Power Yoga. And so that's the story as it happened from my perspective. And I
went to a new studio last night where I was welcomed and greeted and felt comfortable, and I will probably spend my money there from now on.
Oh, they're so exhausting. So you mean the violence that your community is committing against our federal law enforcement? Another one, does anyone remember a time when talking about sex, religion, and politics at work was considered a form of harassment? It was taught in harassment training in every company. I would never engage in a sexual, political, or religious conversation, debate with any of my customers or coworkers. Keep that conversation for your friends and family. I know your audience is a forgotten phrase today. Yeah, that's true. So she berated the staff after taking a class. Her premeditated rants warrants permanent suspension. I listened to her explain her side of the story. Instead of apologizing, she further doubled down on her stance. Of course she did. She's looking for a fight. Anyways, goes on from there. Why does a yoga studio need to get involved with immigration enforcement? Typical Karen. I think it's amazing that they don't see that they never cared about ICE. In all the years they have been deporting illegals until Trump became president. How do they not see that they are so easily manipulated? Wow, great job leaving all the weights on the floor at a yoga studio. Made all the ICE raids get canceled. Yeah, that's funny. Obviously sarcasm. Ugh,
How fast would that little
So this guy is apparently a combat veteran. And anyway, listen to this.
how fast would that little smug grin disappear if he didn't have 6 or 8 officers with him at all times? Because he's such a little bitch. Dude's afraid to go anywhere by himself, as he should be. What I would give for 5 fucking minutes in a ring with that piece of shit and slap that silly little smirk right off his fucking face. The little fucker just mad that his dad loved alcohol more than him.
Projecting.
How fast would that little smug grin disappear if he didn't have 6 or 8 officers with him at all times? Because he's such a little bitch. Dude's afraid to go anywhere by himself, as he should be. What I would give for 5 fucking minutes in a ring with that piece of shit and slap that silly little smirk right off his fucking face. The little fucker just mad that his dad loved alcohol more than him.
So yeah.
How fast would that?
As a combat,
This is the guy. So he's a liberal vet, tells MAGA, I'd never fight for you. So here's the post.
as a combat,
Oh, she's great. I love her.
why are you not protecting my rights to come out here and want to engage with people? Why would you encourage people not to talk to me?
Never fight for you.
Really?
No, not your Nazi trash.
Why?
Because you're out here trying to spin a narrative that's just not true.
Yeah.
And
You
you know
lied.
it too.
You know.
You know it too.
Tell me something that's not true.
Yeah.
So this guy is is kind of like that Eric Rhodes guy that is like, I'm a veteran against Trump. And he comes out here, he's a veteran, he just straight up said, I wouldn't fight for you.
I got a question.
That's why we need to be aware of what's going on in our government. We have he is a combat veteran and just said he would not fight for me.
Not for you.
Why?
No.
Why?
Because you're a Nazi. You're out here trying to cause a narrative that's not true.
How am I a Nazi?
So I have a question for you.
How am I a Nazi?
I have a question for you.
How am I a
I
Nazi?
have a question for you. You gonna answer?
A U.S. combat veteran just called me a Nazi
You
and
are.
said he would not fight
You're
for
here
me.
framing a narrative that's not true.
Yeah, is that Nazism?
You're here framing a nationalist narrative that's not true.
Nationalism.
And you know it. You know it. You're not stupid.
That's disgusting of you as a combat veteran to say he would not fight for me.
Disgusting.
That also means he wouldn't fight for you. You wouldn't fight for tens of millions of people in this country because of their political opinions. That is vulgar. That is vulgar. That is disgusting. What?
So you said if they're a Christian national, this dumb idiot, by the way, and I'm sorry to even freaking say this, I'm actually a combat veteran or whatever you want to call it. Like I've been in war. I was part of the battle group. I wasn't a combat like platoon commander in like the technical sense, but and again, the stolen valor stuff, it just blows my mind. And if you look at World War at the fighting the Nazis, anyone that was coming from America or Canada, they were Christian nationals. You dumb fucking idiot.
If they're a Christian nationalist, I will not fight for them. No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're a veteran. Good thing you're not still out there, and please don't re-enlist because you would not be trusted. As a combat veteran, why are you not protecting my rights to come out here and want to engage with people? Why would you encourage people not to talk
I
to
would
me?
never fight for you.
Really?
No, not your Nazi.
As a combat
Crazy. Crazy. This is interesting. Oh. Anyway. I'll go back to
In March of 2020,
leave it like that.
As a
This. Very interesting. So, first reading, group alleges Kingston, Ontario, which is like an hour away from where I live.
In March of 2020, Representative
as a
All right. Pause. 126-year-old statue was taken down within 4 days of an activist group demanding it. And so I hope people get charged for that, because that was ridiculous. This is happening tomorrow in Ottawa. So the Levine Show and Rainy Media Incorporated presents the Shot Sean Hartman story. This is regarding COVID and the tragic death of his son. February 9th, 6 p.m. tomorrow. Capital City Bikers Church at 155 Caroline Street in Vanier, Ontario. Meet and greet Helen Bruce, who is a friggin' hero, Dr. Chris Shoemaker, and Jason Levine, and hear their stories. I highly encourage people to go. And excuse me. Now back on to X. Not back on. It's the first time with you, but all right. What do we start with? This is from Sam Cooper, mathematician who warned of regime infiltration of Canadian University engineering program, missing in suspicious disappearance. He just posted that not too long ago. Yesterday. So you can't see it, I just pulled it up. Vancouver, an outspoken Iranian dissident who publicly warned Canadian authorities in 2021, so 5 years ago, about alleged Iranian regime infiltration of engineering programs at Simon Fraser University, has disappeared under suspicious circumstances, prompting an investigation by the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team. Masood Masjoudi, 45, was last seen on February 2nd, when concerned neighbors reported his disappearance to Burnaby RCMP. Investigators have determined the disappearance is out of character and believe criminality is involved, though they say there are no indications it is linked to gangs or extortion. It goes on from there. Okay, we have here from Dr. Mark Trozzi, October 2022, a top-level Canadian scientist was suspended without pay because he revealed government data which showed increased risk of COVID disease and death among the vaccinated, which I've talked about as well. This truth was contrary to government propaganda. Dmitry Gorodnichi is accused of having willingly posted information that is contrary to the message that the government of Canada is promoting, which is that COVID-19 vaccines were safe and effective. And again, we have the same people in the same positions, so they're still going to double down until these assholes get fired. Anyway, the outcome of this hearing will signal what kind of public service and what kind of Canada we are moving towards. A country where evidence is driven by political narratives, or a country where political narratives are driven by the evidence. You can learn more and witness his upcoming hearing by clicking the link above. So anyways, I reposted that. Leaked DMs reveal Conservative MP Tamara Cronus voted against banning medical gender transitions for minors at the Conservative Party convention, citing media optics concerns. I oppose it because I'd rather take the shit I'm taking today than see every mainstream headline in this country be about this instead of Pierre's success this weekend. What a fucking excuse. Sorry for swearing, but like, are you kidding me? And so here's her DMs I shared. You can expand that. And where she's admitting that she cares more about optics than she does about actually helping Canadians. Billboard Chris does share it. Yeah. People doubling down on why do you care about optics? Like, you should not be voting on things that you do not agree with. Yeah, this is Anita Anand. I reposted this. Regina Wattiel. I'm a lawyer and I believe in the law. MP Anita Anand And PNN called for the illegal and unconstitutional invocation of the Emergency Act against peaceful protesters. She should be forced to resign, but of course, instead she gets promoted and another cabinet position. She's not even Canadian. And I did write a comment on that, on her, because she was talking about Greenland. Oh my God. David Cochrane, freaking clown. Oh my goodness. Again, it's so demoralizing, Canadian news these days. I'm going to get to some good videos, but again, I have to get through this first. So he's deactivated or attempted to deactivate, at least anyways, he's not on his X account anymore. And good riddance. So that's some good news. He should have been fired years ago. So anyways, this is the post I was talking about. Anita Anand. Canada's new consulate in Nuuk is now officially open, a major commitment under our Arctic foreign policy. As strategic competition increases in the Arctic, Canada is standing with our Arctic partners to advance stability, security, and shared interests in the North. I called this out a few days ago because they were talking about going to Greenland, and I'm like, I wonder if you're gonna have it in Nuuk, where the American consulate has been since 2020. But anyway, so of course she posted that just yesterday. So I commented, "You have been nothing but a reactive government for years. I have personally emailed you and cabinet, and that's a fact, years ago, saying we needed to expand our security and defense coast to coast, including Eureka and Alert, Alaska, Greenland, etc., because we are increasing security threat. Now that Trump is increasing security and defense with Greenland and NATO allied forces, you hop on board and want a consulate exactly where the U.S. has had one for 6 years." Just, anyway. So that's, anyway, a lot of stuff's getting leaked, which is amazing and necessary. And, I hope this is the next big reveal. This was such a good podcast.
But I have one question.
All right. The title, Globe Believing Father Wakes Up to Flat Earth. And this is from Flat Earth Day interviews too. Regardless of what you think about the friggin' Earth, please just keep an open mind. Just listen to what this guy has to say before you immediately dismiss it. And I have written science dissertations and books that I do want to publish at some point. And so I just hope that people, again, I'm going to reiterate, have an open mind on this.
Please convince me why it's not a globe.
Yes, sir.
This was so good.
I have one question.
Yeah. So first, before we get to your questions, you asked me a question. You said, you told me to convince you that it's flat. Okay, here's the evidence. So here's one of the evidences. So this is Monviso across from Pisa, Italy. Okay, a photograph taken of Monviso with the sun setting behind it. So this take was taken from 400 meters above sea level. Okay, right there. And from a distance to the mountains of 296 kilometers. Okay?
Can I interrupt?
What's that?
Is it a fact the photo is taken 400 meters? Is it an academic test?
This is just a photograph of people taking a photo of Monviso across from Pisa, Italy.
But how I know for sure that it's really taken up from 400 meters?
Well, do you apply that same logic to the blue marble? So if I plug in these Earths, just let me, like, are you saying that this is fake?
No, I know. Oh, no, I know. I just read it wrong. It was taken from 400 meters above sea level. Sorry,
yes,
I thought it was taken 400 meters
no.
from the mountain. Sorry.
No, it was taken 296 kilometers away from the mountains.
Okay, correct. Yeah, okay. Now, yeah, okay, that's
right. So we plug that into the Earth curve calculator, and we get a missing height of 3,957 meters. Okay. Now the mountains of Monviso, right, are only 3,841 meters tall, meaning they have quick math, right? 116 meters of the tops of these mountains should be below the Earth's curvature, but we're seeing them. So do you see the mountains?
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Great. Welcome to Flat Earth. Do you want more evidence now?
But okay, yeah, I want more evidence. Okay, this is one theory. Probably one academic guy will prove it. It's fake, or they say, like in the comments, you can put.
Do you know what they claim? Do you know what they say to the observations like this?
Yeah, what do they say? What do the academics say? It's false. Why?
They say that it's because of atmospheric refraction, which is the bending of light when it reaches the boundary of two different isotropic mediums. When the atmosphere is only one anisotropic mediums, where that shouldn't apply. They claim that light bends the mountain. The mountain is actually below the curvature, and it's bending around the curvature, and the mountain is just placed there. Do you believe that?
So that means I can look at a wall and I can bend my vision and look behind the wall?
Yes. Hey, Michael, go on my page. I swear to you.
I was so excited about that. That just happened like just a few days ago, where I got over 1,000 subscribers. And yeah, I definitely celebrated.
Go on my page. I have gotten Globies to say, this is what I ask them. You're being honest. Watch this. This is what I ask them. I go to them, if you duck behind a hill, can I see you? And they say no. And then I say, if I add refraction to that hill that you want to invoke there, can I see you? And they say yes. Some of them just straight up say yes. I go, when you go behind a hill, can I see you? And they say yes.
Bro, even Superman can do that shit, bro.
That's right. So you want more evidence?
Okay, so you convinced me on this part, truly. Okay, convince me on the part of gravity.
Gravity, all right. So first of all, to start from the start, gravity hasn't actually been proven yet. So there's no scientific experiment that's ever been done that actually used gravity as an independent variable to do anything. So they actually have all different gravity models, and they're all false. They all don't work. So let me just show you, right? This is what you would call gravity, all right? So we've got some helium balloons, okay, that are neutrally buoyant, and they're attached to a Van de Graaff generator. Now these balloons you see how they're levitating?
Because of the helium inside.
Yeah, so they're neutrally buoyant and they're levitating, and they're connected to a Van de Graaff generator, which adds positive charge to the balloons. Okay, now when we add the positive charge to the balloons, because the Earth is negative, and as you go higher up, it becomes positively charged in the atmosphere, we have a constant downpour of electrostatics towards the Earth, creating a small downward bias. So when we add positive charge to the balloons, they're going to go down because positive seeks negative. Do you see he's turning the Van de Graaff generator, and now the balloons go down. Then when he discharges it, it goes back up, and it seeks equilibrium, and it stops again, perfectly levitating, and then it does it again. He keeps doing that. Now, the other thing that you can do with a Van de Graaff generator, you can put the positive on the bottom and the negative on top, and then you can put a small object like that right there, okay? And then he's going to turn it on again, and now it's going to go up, because now it's seeking negative the wrong way. It's going up now instead of down. So now he's made basically a small version of the Earth with two Gaussian plates, and he's made the ground on top now. So now when he charges it up, it goes up. It's anti-gravity now, basically, right? Now the other thing that you can do is you can get a small lightweight object, and you can actually add negative charge to it. And because negative and negative repel, the object will levitate. So watch this. This is the next one. Watch this. See? You add negative charge to that and it goes up. It levitates because negative and negative repel. So basically, the reason why things fall and float, simply put, is because a helium balloon is less dense than air. So if you let go of a helium balloon, it goes up because it's less dense than air. A rock is more dense than air. You drop it, it goes down to seek the ground down. So if you get a rock and throw it in water, it's more dense than the water, so it falls through the water. But if you get an apple, throw it in the water, it's going to fall through the air because it's more dense than the air. Then it's going to land on the water, and it's less dense than the water, so it floats on the water. So I've just explained to you why things fall and float without gravity.
Okay, so but how do they manage to pull out the gravity trick on us? Why can I levitate?
They can't. They can't. They've never used gravity to do anything. They just say the word gravity, and they just say because gravity. You know how many people come up here, right? And their answer to everything that doesn't make sense, they just say because gravity. Because gravity.
Yeah, true.
Because
because I was teach that gravity exists. So basically, if you teach my grandfather gravity exists, eventually I will be born and believe gravity exists.
Bingo.
Correct. Yeah. So
I will expand on that. I wasn't going to do it, but I will. It's the whiskey talking. I've done science books like I've talked about, and dissertations. I'm gonna give a little bit of an example regarding gravity of the research that I've looked into and compiled and put into these books. And because again, I'm not doing this for money by any means. In fact, I've lost a lot of money sharing stuff like this. It is what it is. Okay, so this is just one of my examples of a flat Earth dissertation that I've done. This is 247 pages long, and so I just did a Control F to search for gravity. 63 times it will come up for this dissertation. Again, this isn't even like my book yet, and this is this to show here. So for chapter 1, epistemic foundations and burden allocation. Problem statement: modern cosmology operates under a dominant paradigm, the heliocentric globe model. It describes Earth as a spinning spheroid orbiting the sun within a vacuum environment governed by gravitational forces. Despite institutional consolidation, this paradigm is seldom subjected to first principle falsification using physical evidence available to non-institutional observers. Instead, validation is often delegated to professional expertise, institutional authority, classified or inaccessible domains, non-reproducible demonstrations, consensus as a stand-in for evidence. This raises an epistemic problem. Is the globe model empirically verified, or is it institutionally maintained? The scientific demarcation standard. A model qualifies as scientific to the extent it is testable. Claims can be evaluated against physical reality. Falsifiable. Model failure is illogically possible. Reproducible experiments yield consistent results. Independence of authority. Truth is not contingent on institutional validation. I've talked about this for years, but again, for this to be on paper makes a lot more sense. For a cosmological framework, these criteria must apply at the level of physics, geometry, environmental behavior, observational confirmation. If a model fails these criteria, it is not necessarily false, but it ceases to operate scientifically and enters the domain of belief, consensus, institutional narrative, or theory. Gravity is a theory. So verification domains versus trust domains. In modern society, many claims are held not through direct verification, but through trust chains. For example, Earth curves, Earth spins, gravity holds the atmosphere, space is a vacuum, objects orbit Earth, the sun is 93 million miles away, water curves around the Earth. For the average citizen, and even for the average scientist outside specific fields, these claims are not observably directed. Instead, they are validated by textbooks, images, institutional statements, media, secondary education, consensus. This constitutes a trusted knowledge domain, not a verified one. In contrast, claims like water-seeking level, gas pressure equalizing, light traveling straight, vacuum requiring containment are directly verifiable without institutional mediation. These are empirical domains. The dissertation will operate primarily within empirical domains that do not require trust chains. Burden of proof allocation. The burden of proof, which even Austin Whitsitt and countless others talk about it as well, the burden of proof lies not with the challenger, so not with me, but with the model making claims that contradict direct sensory evidence, physical law, laboratory demonstration, experimental reproducibility. Two examples illustrate this principle. If a model claims standing water curves, the burden lies on the model to demonstrate curvature in natural or controlled settings. If a model claims gas pressure can exist adjacent to a vacuum without containment, the burden lies on the model to demonstrate such a system. Appealing to theoretical constructs, example, gravity does it, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and these other clowns say, without demonstrational equivalence, fails the burden. So let's go through here. Again, it just says gravity, not gravitational or anything like that for this book. But okay, so empirical character of liquids for hydrostatic behavior, water seeks level, assumes the shape of the container, equalizes via pressure, settles into hydrostatic equilibrium, and forms a planar surface perpendicular to what we're calling gravity. Atmosphere interface claim. The heliocentric model asserts Earth's atmosphere is a high-pressure gas, approximately 4.7 psi at sea level. Space is as a near zero pressure vacuum. No solid barrier or membrane exists between them, and the interface is maintained solely by gravity. This would make Earth the only known system where high-pressure gas is held adjacent to vacuum without a barrier. And it also defeats the second law of thermodynamics, which pressurized gas necessarily requires containment. And all the experiments that have been done have been using containment. Gas pressure in equilibrium with vacuum without a solid barrier. If gravity can perform this function, demonstration is required. Without demonstration, this claim remains theoretical. Implication: if atmospheric gas requires physical containment, which it does, then the enclosed model offers a mechanism, firmament dome boundary layer, consistent with pressure retaining systems. If the globe model rejects containment, it must produce a working macro scale demonstration or a complete theoretical framework explaining how gravity substitutes for containment without violating entropy. Let's go on. Engineering and hydrodynamics 2.7. Empirical loss level seeking. Observation: liquids at rest always form a planar surface perpendicular to what they're alleging is gravity. Globe requirement: water surface must be convex, bulging. Engineering practice: no bridge, railway, or canal project calculates for the curvature bulge of water. Sea level is treated as a flat datum plane. The Verrazano-Narrows anomaly. The claim: Carrows diverge by 1 in 5/8 or whatever it was. Anyways, inches at the top. I thought it was like 1 in 1/6 inch at the top to account for curvature. The rebuttal, which I've talked about before. Thermal expansion. Daily sun exposure warps towers by approximately 2 inches or more, rendering a 1.6 inch curvature calculation structurally negligible. Marketing theory versus necessity. The Tamarack mine tests. When plumb lines were isolated from wind, sun in deep shafts, they diverged at the bottom, contradicting the center of gravity convergence required by the globe. Ballistic data and inertia. The stationary assumption. Military firing tables. Assumption: the Earth is assumed to be flat. Gravity: assumed to be parallel vectors not converging. So again, it's I don't even know why they even add that. It's not factored in. Assumed to be parallel. Okay, so if the Earth were spinning approximately 1,000 miles per hour and globe math converging gravity were required, firing solutions based on a flat stationary model would consistently fail. Their success validates the flat stationary environmental model. So test domain optics to Chicago, globe model status fail, requires non-existent super refraction, which I've talked about in previous videos. Stationary plane status pass, direct line of sight. Mirages, the Crocker one, which I talked about before. Globe model status fail. False equivalency, low fidelity. Stationary plane status pass, high fidelity observation. Lasers for the globe model status fail. Refraction is too weak to match curve. Stationary plane status pass, light travels straight. Again, depending on if it's going to be going through mediums or not. I just got to check something here. Okay, you can see it good. Again, I know this sounds crazy to people. I know. Trust me, I've been there. I don't know, right? I've exhausted all... like, I've been researching this for literally years, and these are the conclusions I'm coming to. And so, I don't know. Conclusion. The globe model relies on theoretical patches. Refraction, which again can't account for what we are seeing. Refraction only accounts for, on average, 0.5 to 1% of the alleged curvature, what would be obscured. So it doesn't work. Gravity, to explain why gas doesn't disperse, and inertia, to explain why we feel no motion. The stationary enclosed plane Model C requires no such patches. The observed reality, seeing the city, the laser traveling straight, the water lying flat, is the actual reality. Let's see here. Hydrodynamics, water surface behavior, empirical law level seeking across all known scales of standing water, laboratory to macro. The surface stabilizes into a planar equipotential perpendicular to gravity. This is not theoretical. It is the basis of spirit levels, surveying, hydrographic engineering, optical leveling, naval architecture. No laboratory, industrial, nautical, or civil application operates under the assumption of convex water curvature. Empirical observations, lakes, planar, reservoirs, planar, inland seas, planar, coastal waters, planar, oceans, planar. And that's why we could see like such clear images being reflected on the surface of the water, like large mountain chains, etc. So anyways, this is treated as foundational enough to build cities and maritime infrastructure upon without curvature corrections. Again, this is just gravity. Okay, so there are 0 examples where gravity replaces containment in industrial vacuum systems. Correct. Globe model requirement. Atmosphere, 4.7 psi, adjacent to vacuum, 0 psi, with no physical barrier. Equilibrium prevented by this, again, alleged gravity. This introduces 4 forensic problems. I don't know why I'm saying forensic, but it's because of my what I requested for the breakdown. Anyways, gravity is not a membrane. It exerts a vector force downwards, but does not provide surface enclosure. No laboratory demonstration. There is no experimental apparatus where gas pressure is maintained against vacuum purely by gravity. Entropy violation. Entropy requires equalization. Model A requires continuous unverified entropy suppression. Selective behavior. Air allegedly does not escape upward, but heat and light do. This creates selective permeability properties without a medium specified. Open plane model. Again, because I talked about open and closed globe and then flat earth with containment. So anyways, Model B offers no containment solution. It inherits the same thermodynamic problem as Model A without even invoking gravity as a theoretical buffer. So therefore, Model B fails thermodynamically. So again, I compared 3 different models: globe Earth without containment, globe Earth with globe Earth with containment, and then I think it was flat Earth without containment, and then flat Earth containment. Enclosed Model C. Model C postulates physical enclosure, firmament, dome containment. Under thermodynamics, this resolves pressure retention, entropy gradient stabilization or stability, vacuum interface problem. Under Model C, in flat contained environment, atmosphere is gas in a container. Space, if present, is outside the container, not adjacent. This is consistent with known pressure system design. So again, just reiterating stuff. Gravity is not a membrane. No laboratory demonstrations. There's no experiment apparatus where gas pressure is maintained against vacuum purely by gravity. Okay, so Model A, globe Earth, what the scientific community is telling us, Model A requires 3 unverified exceptions. Gravity is as a vacuum seal substitute, vacuum non-intrusion into atmosphere, suppression of entropy without container. None are demonstrated, all are assumed. This is a red flag. Physics that cannot be experimentally reproduced on demand is not validated physics. It is theoretical assertion. Newtonian consolidation, 1687. Isaac Newton completed the shift by formalizing gravity as a universal law capable of binding planets, moons, comets, stars into an integrated cosmic mechanical system. Under enclosure critiques, Newton's gravity served 4 strategic functions: replaced firmament with force, replaced containment with attraction, replaced stationary reference frames with relative motion, replaced finite world with infinite space. Gravity became the new architecture. All based on theory. Okay, so funding asymmetry produced research gravity, fields grow where money flows. Excuse me. Yeah, selective funding. The machine incentives heliocentric astrophysics, cosmology, Big Bang, dark matter, dark energy, theoretical physics, aerospace engineering, and systematically underfunds or excludes alternative cosmologies, enclosure models, experimental falsification regimes, talking about the aptness, talking about ether, again, the same thing. Okay, so the heliocentric model requires atmosphere adjacent to a near infinitesimal vacuum without containment, enforced only by gravity. No empirical demonstration validates configuration. Yeah, I like that. So, just how they explained it away. All right. All known hydrodynamic systems, from laboratory beakers to lakes and oceans, treat water as forming a horizontal equilibrium surface relative to gravity. The heliocentric model requires oceans to curve downward or upward thousands of feet across distances such as 60, 100, or 200 miles, yet no direct observation demonstrates curved water surfaces. Thermodynamic enclosure, already talked about that. I don't want to be too redundant. Yeah. Vacuum retain via gravity alone, no. So, gravity prevents the atmosphere from expanding outward in a vacuum. This will require gravity functioning as a membrane-like interface, gravity preventing gas diffusion across pressure boundaries, gravity overcoming entropy expansion, gravity providing selective containment, air held but not meteors, spacecraft, etc. None of these behaviors align with documented gravitational phenomena. Gas diffusion and entropy violations are not supported by any macro-scale demonstrations. I love it. So again, I talk a lot about gravity. Entropy dominates gas movement. Gas molecules migrate towards equilibrium without directional preference. Gravity, being scalar, cannot generate selective inhibition against molecular motion at the vacuum boundary. And then it goes on from there. All right, I don't want to be too redundant. Let me see if I talk about Cavendish in here, because that's always one that's friggin'. I've talked about this before, but okay, so the Cavendish experiment is often cited as the definitive laboratory proof of gravity. Yet, from a forensic engineering standpoint, I don't know why I'm saying it like that. Again, it's my conversation. It suffers from severe isolation and containment issues. It attempts to measure an incredibly weak force, gravity, in an environment dominated by incredibly strong forces, electrostatics, which they're going to get into, and they already talked about a little bit, thermal convection, and magnetic coupling, which I've talked about. And electricity only exists within a magnetic field, just to reiterate that as well. So anyways, here's a detailed breakdown why the experiment fails to isolate mass attraction and how subtle electrical force are the likely culprit for the movement observed. The force magnitude disparity. The fundamental flaw in Cavendish-style experiments is the signal-to-noise ratio. The signal, it gives the wrong scale here, but anyways, I'll fix that. Okay, so anyway, the signal, because the point is still being made here, gravity, theoretical gravity between two lead balls is infinitesimally small. The noise, electrostatics, the Coulomb force, static attraction, is higher, and it's stronger than gravity. It's multiple times. It's like 10 times to the power of 36 times stronger than gravity. The implication, even a microscopic amount of static charge on the lead balls, impossible to fully eliminate in 1798 or even in many modern setups, would produce a pull that mimics gravity but is actually electrical. And if there's any type of magnetic materials within that force as well, depending on the polarity, would also attract as well stronger forces than this fake mythological gravity. So anyways, if you have two neutral masses, but one induces a tiny dipole in the other, polarization, they will attract. This looks like gravity, but is dielectric induction. The torsion wire as a variable resistor. The experiment relies on a twisting wire, torsion, to measure the force. Electromechanical sensitivity. Mechanical sensitivity. Metal wires are not just mechanical springs, they are conductive pathways. Any varying electromagnetic field in the room or naturally occurring ground currents can induce microcurrents or magnetic moments in the torsion wire itself. Temperature sensitivity. The wire's elasticity changes with temperature. If the larger lead balls are slightly warmer or cooler than the small balls, radiant heat, they heat the air and the wire asymmetrically, causing the wire to twist or the air to push the boom. This is thermal convection, not gravity. The Faraday cage failure. Modern attempts to replicate Cavendish often use a Faraday cage to block static. However, forensic analysis shows this is insufficient. Casimir force and van der Waals. Even when grounded, surfaces exhibit short-range quantum electrical attractions, what they're calling Casimir force, which while usually short-range and high-precision torsion balances, charge patch potentials, uneven charge distribution on the metal surface, create torque. Magnetic permeability. Lead is diamagnetic, repelled by magnetic fields. If there is any magnetic gradient in the room from Earth's field or electric wiring, the lead balls will interact with it. The movement labeled gravitational attraction could simply be the apparatus aligning with a magnetic null point. The replicability crisis. In metrology, the science of measurement, if a constant g exists, it should be easy to measure consistently. Yeah, the gravitational constant. Yeah, that's what I thought. The reality of the gravitational constant is the least precise fundamental constant in physics. The least precise. The variation. Different labs get different values for the gravitational constant depending on the setup, location, and materials used. If the constant variable based on the if the constant varies based on the environment, you are not measuring a constant fundamental force. You are measuring environmental noise, likely varying electromagnetic or density conditions, and calling it what we're calling Cavendish. I can go on from there so much, but I will not. But it's people that do research on the shape of the Earth. Like I'm just saying, like we go. There's a lot of research put into it before they ever say it out loud.
The reason why they need gravity, because they need larger bodies of water to curve around a ball, right? Whereas we're just saying the Earth is flat and level topographical plane, like a huge lake, a huge pond, that the water always lays level. We don't need gravity. They do. This is why they made up gravity for this reason, for this here.
Okay, but then you can come up with, why do they tell these lies to us?
Because people, it's also, look, I'm not the one lying to you, but it's speculation. I can speculate as to why they're lying, but at the end of the day, it's just speculation. So.
But why do all these scientists, these physics scientists, had it wrong? Why do they had it wrong? Why
the thing is, right, they don't really have it wrong. What it is, right, they learn physics and stuff, right? Like people that like mechanics, like I just had on earlier, right? He pumps his bicycle tire or his car tire with air, and he's proving right there that you need a container to have gas pressure. So he's not lying to anyone. He just believes in the globe. When you start applying these laws to this is where it falls apart. All those laws don't work with this. This is violating those laws. All this gas on this Earth, because this is a vacuum, all of that gas will go into the vacuum. It'll all be dead. So the Earth has to be contained. So they're not lying. They just believe in something that is false.
But why do you know for sure it's flat and it's not?
I've tested it myself. I've gone out to the beach and I've used my high power optics. I've done observations. And you know how they claim that the horizon is Earth curvature that boats go over? I can pull the boats back into view.
Yeah, please debunk that, because we have all seen how they trying to debunk flat Earth theory by sending up a boat with the sails
look at this,
and with the stripes.
Look at this. Watch this. This is my own video. Watch.
Okay.
Right there. Do you see how the boat came back into view and I couldn't see it before? So the boat, it just got too far away to see, right? It didn't go behind a curve. It just disappeared due to angular resolution limits of the eye.
Bro, reverse that shit. Reverse that shit.
Bro, I'll show you more. I've done more.
I see it. I still see it. I still see it. I still. Fuck, now it's gone. Bro,
Watch this. It's not just one, it's many. People have done this hundreds of times. It's not just me. See that? All these boats were not visible. I couldn't see any of these boats. I zoom in and they're there. Not behind a curve, but just too far away to see.
Bro, this is scary as fuck, bro. This is scary as fuck. Bro, you got me fucking convinced, bro. You got me convinced.
Another one.
Bro, I hate you, bro. I hate you, bro. I hate you, bro. I thought you were just of these fake ass flat earthers who, bro, you got me convinced, bro. Bro, you're f***ed my brain, bro. Why do you? Oh my God, man. Bro, people will hate me. This shit, bro. No,
the second one in one live, yes.
Bro, this is, bro, I having goosebumps right now, bro. No, man, no, this can't be true, bro. No, this can't be true, bro. No, this can't be true, bro. With the boat, because I watched the video that they are saying, like, we're going to debunk the flat earth theory. They set up a sail, they stripe the sails with red and white stripes, and then they set it off to the horizon. And they said, look now, you can't see it because it's bending. And then first you saw the boat, then you saw one stripe, then the second stripe, eventually all the stripes disappeared. So you're telling me that they pulled a fucking illusion trick on my ass to believe they are just...
Oh, but boats do disappear bottom up over the horizon because it's the limitations of your vision. But like I said, right, if you look here, right, see how the hallway converges to a point, right, and see that boat in the distance, how it appears higher than the boat here?
Of course.
So it's the same thing on the horizon, right? The boat in the distance appears higher. So as that boat goes over that horizon, it's going to disappear bottom up because of the way we see, right? Because the boat is the bottom of the boat and the water merge together. Like if you get two lights, right? And then you walk back. Eventually those two lights are going to become one light. That's what's happening to that bottom of that boat and the horizon. They're merging together, becoming one, and then eventually it gets too small and you can't see it.
Bro, I just think about this. When you have like a scope on a rifle, you know, you have probably shoot one or two times before. Okay, so you have a scope. This is exactly what you explain, how a scope works. Because the barrel is like below the scope.
Yes.
But
watch this. I'll show you that bottom up.
The tragedy of the bullet with this, bro. This man, bro.
Look, man, watch this. I'll bring up Flat Earth Dave. He's really good for this too. But I'm going to show you one more thing, right? So we get a camera, we put it on this post, right? We zoom in onto the horizon, and we can see we reveal a boat there, right? Now you see how the horizon's behind the boat?
1 second, I need to copy this link. Somebody's put a link of 1 second. I just put it. I'll be back. 1 second.
All right. I mean, what's up?
I got to tell him about the red and white stripe thing that he saw. That was in National Geographic where they cheated.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, exactly.
So listen carefully. If you go back and look at that again, you'll see that they had a center stripe, then they had white and red above it and white and red below it, but it wasn't an equal number, so it was an optical illusion. So when they said 2 or 3 of the stripes are missing, only half of one stripe was missing. So we go back and look at it, you'll see that only half of one stripe was missing, but that doesn't matter. If you look beyond the boat, you can see that the horizon is far beyond the boat. So if the stripes are already missing in front of the boat, you wouldn't be able to see the water beyond the boat because it's behind the curve already. It's a total illusion that they gave you.
Oh, fuck. He debunked that for me right now. So that's why my brain is really fried right now, because I thought I'd come up, you know. I'm hearing about the flat earth theory, and even my daughter said that.
I'm so excited. Like, I'm going to actually meet Dave Weiss soon. I'm not going to say where and how and why and stuff like that. I'm going to meet a few other people as well. But it's a long time coming because, again, we've talked a lot other people as well for years. And I'm really excited about it, that I will be meeting him in person finally, because he's great.
Like, Dad, I believe in this flat earth theory. I'm like, girl, you're crazy. Go back to school. Go back to school. Get well educated.
We all have the exact same story. We all have the
She
same
will laugh
story.
the shit out of me if I'm coming back now, because she's telling me this for like 6 years.
She's going to give you a hug is what she's going to do. She's going to be so thrilled that her father woke up.
Tell her that Angels of Light got you.
That's right.
Tell your friends about me.
Bro, this is up, bro. Bro, this is up. And I had like a colleague. He said, like, bro, there's something, yo. There's an ice wall. There's a flat earth theory. Like they killed the guy who was trying to prove wrong. I'm like, no, bro. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, bro. This is fake, man. This is fake. But what you just did was convincing me with the same type of physics they used to learn me that the globe is like a globe, like the earth is a globe. And you debunk that shit with simple math.
Yep, easy.
All you need is math.
But how is it not? But why is everybody still believing that it's a globe?
You're not believing it anymore because you worked it out.
Yeah, but why?
Because they haven't come to my channel yet. They haven't come to Angels of Light on TikTok, right? And they haven't worked it out.
Bro, I'll send them up. I'll send them up because you got some real good theories.
Go follow me, man, and just look at my content. Like,
I already did, bro. Okay, thank you, bro. I'll leave now and I'll stay in the live just to hear some more. But thank you, bro. Thank you for convincing me, bro. Yeah, I hate you actually.
Look, what you're gonna do is though, don't say that I convince you. What you got to do is you got to do more research, okay?
Yeah, of course I do have to.
And you have to convince yourself, okay? Take care.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
I have this app. I get paid zero money to talk about this app, the Flat Earth app that Dave Weiss has. Just 1 second here. So this, but yeah, I have it. It's super cheap, and I've told him before he's not going to do it. But like, I'm like, you could charge way more money because he consolidates videos and he gets actual experts on, and he does interviews, and he's been doing this for years. And it's super cheap. And so if you have any questions or concerns regarding any topic of interest, you name it. It could be about Eratosthenes, it could be about gravity, it could be about the sun, it could be about the moon, it could be about we see too far. Whatever you want to like talk about, you just actually have to click on like the search, and he's showing it here if you can see it where the arrow is being pointed. But where it's a search, and like you could type anything in, and it'll pull up videos that he has that are likely censored or being downgraded or shadow banned on YouTube and other social media outlets, where you can actually get good content. And so again, don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's word for it. But I do encourage people, if you're interested in this, to do your research, because there's a lot of money in this. And again, it's very deceiving, in my opinion. And I'm rambling. It's the whiskey, like I said. So I will have to leave it at that then. So on that note, I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your Saturday night, or whenever you're watching this.